Yeah. Okay. What would give people pause is that we don't have any eyewitness accounts of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
We have records that are from probably 40 to 60 years later. Our first author who mentions Jesus is the Apostle Paul, and he's writing in the 50s. Jesus died around the year 30. So the first
Paul claims to see Jesus in a vision. That's something
we have Jesus mentioned in any source is about 20 years after his death.
Do we know when that drawing was done with the donkey head on the cross, the guy with the head of an ass on the cross?
Yeah, that's later. That's in the second or third.
Oh, it's later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bart's like, oh yeah, I'm not talking to anybody that's an expert at all. He's just like, yeah. Well, I don't know what you think is going on here, but so apparently Bart Ehrman was talking with Danny Jones. Everybody knows Danny Jones. I don't know. I just found out about this Danny Jones character, but he's talking to Bart Ehrman. So we're gonna get into it. I found the Danny Jones guy because of the debate with the real exorcist guy and some weird Satanist. Anyway, yeah, his videos still come up. It's weird how that works. Anyway, we're gonna get into it. I am Brentley. This is the Punk Apostate. Let's go. So like I was saying, Bart Ehrman, Danny Jones, this little box, the little kid in the box in the corner, whatever. He barely says anything, it seems, most of the time anyway. Yeah, so let's see what's going on. Oh, and what do y'all think about Jesus? Did he exist? Not. What do you think? Yay, nay? What do you think? Also hit the like button. Anyway, all right, here we go.
In Paul's writing, there were people alive who knew Jesus.
Right.
And Paul knows some of them.
So it's a much better case for Jesus than Moses.
I mean, Paul knows his brother.
Bart Ehrman goes on Danny Jones' podcast, and they talk about whether or not if Jesus was real. And keep in mind, Bart Ehrman is not a Christian, and he doesn't believe that Jesus is God, but he defends one thing, and that is Jesus is real. So let's get into it.
That's not a whole lot, man. You're making it sound like it's a lot more impactful than what it actually is. So he thinks the guy existed. That's it. He doesn't think the Gospels are accurate. He doesn't think he was God. He doesn't think, any of that type of stuff. So yeah, you're not doing good, man. Like this isn't. He's like, but he existed. Yeah, eat that, atheist.
You think that Jesus was a real historical person, right?
Yes.
And there are people you've debated that think that he's not.
Yes.
What is the argument to him not being a real historical figure?
Good question. Well, good argument?
Yeah, what's the best argument you've heard?
Well, if I were arguing that case, I would say, I guess, I mean, you're saying it's the best argument is kind of like it's a very low bar.
Right.
It's your best.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay. What's my best round of golf? I mean, it's like, well, okay.
God, he looks like if my uncle he acts like my uncle, but like if my uncle was also like Freddy Krueger before the burns and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But wow, I don't know. I just that's the way he looks. It's like he needs to come out with a claw hand. He needs to do that for Halloween. I swear he looks exactly like that dude.
It's like I think what gives some people pause, not so much. Yeah. Okay. What would give people pause is that we don't have any eyewitness accounts of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
We have records that are from probably 40 to 60 years later. Our first author who mentions Jesus is the Apostle Paul, and he's writing in the 50s. Jesus died around the year 30. So the first
Paul claims to see Jesus in a vision. That's something
we have Jesus mentioned.
Yeah, he does. Like that whole road to the Damascus thing. Remember that?
Mentioned in any source is about 20 years after his death.
Do we know when that drawing was done?
Okay, we're gonna take a second here. How's everybody doing? Y'all doing all right? Hey, StreamYard's putting up comments on the stream, just like real streamers. Yeah. But it's StreamYard, so I'm sure it's gonna mess up or something. I don't know. Anyway, who won today? Let's see. Ember won. Hell yeah. PM show. Let's go. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing these a lot more. So we're gonna you gotta get used to this. And possibly even later. Because like I said, my schedule always changes for the summer. Who we got second? Cosmic Kyle. What's up, man? How's it going? Hell yeah. It's been a minute. Good to see you out there, man. And Weed, bro. What's going on, dude? And it's funny, I thought of you because I was like, when I was scheduling this, it was like, and it just happened to be that way. I like sat down, I was like, I need about 20 minutes, and it was at 4, and then I was like, 4:20. I bet you Weed Bro will be there anyway. All right. Anyway, all right, here we go.
With the donkey head on the cross, the guy with the head of an ass on the cross.
Yeah,
no, the head was in it, it was the face was in the wait, I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of something else. I'm sorry.
That's later. That's in the second or third.
Oh,
it was way later. Yeah, it's like our time. It's on a. I don't know if it was X videos. Is that right, Kevin? Is it on X video? I don't know. It's probably one of the. Anyway,
it's later.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No, and it's a much debated thing. People say they know what it is, but in fact, it's debated among experts what it actually represents. It's clearly Jesus on the cross with a donkey's head.
Yeah.
And
what the fuck are they talking about? I don't know this one at all. I've only this is the first time I'm hearing about it, and somehow this Danny Jones guy that doesn't know anything about anything beat me to the point. Anyway? You know what? I'm irritated.
And a graffiti next to it, but no, it's much later. So the first.
Whoa, Ember, remember for 13 months? Hell yeah! That's a year and a month. I don't know, which I feel like sounds longer than 13. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Ember. That is awesome. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, like StreamYard doing its mess up there. Let's see. Yeah, subscribe, ye punks. Brantley is only 20 behind me. Wow, that's right. We are like neck and neck in this race. That's awesome. But you're gonna win. You're gonna win because you're doing great, and you got a better show. And you got one of those little intro things where with the camera up above looking. It's awesome. It's incredible. Anyway, let's see who else we got here. Got a lot of folks here. It's like it's weird because it ends up being like a whole different crowd, because we're like the morning people can't make these, and I kind of feel bad, but they've had their time. It's our time, right? So we got Pandora's Pinatas here. What's up? After falling off a donkey and forgetting his name. What? I feel like I'm missing the context. Is that the thing, the ass face, the face in the ass being crucified? I don't know what's happening. I don't know. What are you talking about? What is happening? Hey, what's up, Patty? How we doing? Hell yeah. Let's see. We got Hypatia Stanhope. What's up, dude? Many men were contributing to his story, but the foundation that all else followed was a man named Judas ben Hezekiah. Huh. Okay. I have to look into that. I don't know much about what you're talking, but it sounds interesting though. AR, what's going on, dude? And it's ancient graffiti. It's ancient graffiti. Cool. Hell yeah. I didn't realize they had that type of stuff back then. I thought that was a more recent establishment. I don't know.
First reference to Jesus at all our first Christian writing is the book of 1 Thessalonians, and it's usually dated to the year 49 or 50. Jesus died around the year 30, so it's about 20 years later. So the argument would be that we don't have any eyewitness reports, or we don't have any things that are really close to the Gospels. The first Gospel is written around the year.
It kind of reminds me. I'm sorry, I'm like totally zoned out for a second. Remember that guy that was in that movie? I'm sorry. That's like the worst way to say it. He's the French guy. He was in the first Mission Impossible. There was like a movie called the Expert, the Specialist, the Professional. That's what it was. He's like got the glasses and everything. I know. All I can talk about is what Bart Ehrman looks like. I'm sorry, but he's very distinct. He's got a look, Anyway,
70, so that's 40.
Here's a counterpoint. It's pretty well noted that the people who wrote the Gospels at least were able to interview the eyewitnesses. Wouldn't that count as documented actual good proof, good evidence?
no, and that's not even true. What? Wait, hold on. What did he say?
Gospels at least.
Most of the Gospels, the first Gospel was written around the year 70, so that's 40.
Here's a counterpoint.
First of all, I love that. Here's a point, or actually, it's a counterpoint to. It's countering his point that he's making. Wouldn't it be?
It's pretty well noted that the people who wrote the Gospels at least were able to interview the eyewitnesses.
No, it's not well established that that is the case. That is the claim of a lot of religious people, but that is not well established at all. In fact, pretty sure it's like well established that we know there were no eyewitnesses. There were just claims of eyewitnesses.
Wouldn't that count as documented actual good proof, good evidence?
Later.
Mhm.
So, so why should we think he really lived? That's kind of the argument.
Mhm.
It's not a good argument, but it's an argument.
Right. And it is crazy too. I mean, that goes with a lot of historical figures. Like I think Moses is one. Moses wasn't written about until what, like 1,000 years after he supposedly died.
Yeah, a little bit different. AR said, "Are we watching a 12-year-old do apologetics? He's insanely young looking, right? Insanely young looking, and I think he's got like a wife and stuff. Like he's like a grown adult. He just shaves really close, I guess. I don't know, and has a really high voice. I don't know, Bob Ali, what's going on, dude? How we doing? So it's good to see you. All right, here we go.
Yeah, well, 30 years is very different from 1,000 years.
Yes, very different.
So when Paul's writing, there were people alive who knew Jesus.
Right.
And Paul knows some of them.
So it's a much better
Supposedly,
case for Jesus than
Well,
Moses.
I mean, Paul knows his brother.
Right.
Paul personally knew Jesus' brother.
Right.
So, I mean,
Dave,
Jesus did.
what's up, Dave? How we doing, man? I don't know if I said hi to you yet. So Luke begins with, "These are stories handed down. Luke collected and wrote down." Yeah, I think they all start that way. They say that the Gospels are anonymous in the beginning of each one of them, But yeah, it's funny how that works.
to say, oh, they had no one to interview. There you literally, Paul literally talks to Jesus' brother.
Literally, Paul literally talks to literally people that
James, plain and simple.
Exist. You'd think his brother would know it.
Mhm.
That's a joke.
Oh man, thank you for clarifying. I was lost. I'm gonna be honest. I thought you were being serious.
Yeah, it's like- I mean,
You think so?
yeah, Moses is a whole different thing. I mean, so if Moses lived, Moses would have probably lived in the 13th century BCE.
Mhm.
And it's not clear if we have any sources that mention him for
What's up, Henry? How we doing, man?
centuries.
Right.
So that's a different thing from somebody talking about him who knows his brother.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or claimed to know his brother. It's funny. I'm like watching this one, and I just released a conversation with John Gleason this morning. So it's like, but Jesus never existed. He's wrong. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, totally.
What do y'all think? What do y'all think on the whole "did he exist" thing? I think I should make a poll.
But then the claims when it gets into him being divine and
Well, that's a
doing all
different
these-
story.
doing all these things and being able to, that's the whole thing.
1550.
Which I read recently, this fascinating book that really gave me a really good understanding of everything, which was Thomas Paine. I forget the name of his. I think it was the
I placed Moses living around 1550 to 1500 BC. Oh, okay. I missed what he just said. What did he just say?
Age of Reason by Thomas Paine.
Yeah, no, it's a classic.
Oh my God, it was such a good book.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I just downloaded that.
Oh, these English deists were really something. They knew a lot.
He talks like my uncle too. Well, he is really something. He is something else. He really is. He really is something else.
I wonder though, what is Bart Ehrman's reason though for not believing
Oh, okay. 13th century.
Jesus is God? Because at the end of the day, even Mark is probably the oldest gospel. They're still claiming a lot of things about him.
They didn't know what scholars.
What? I'm sorry. I was reading the chat.
God. Because at the end of the day, even Mark is probably the oldest gospel, they're still claiming a lot of things about him.
You know, they didn't.
Okay. So, what point were you making? Was he making a point? Was he just like, they said stuff about him in Mark even, and that's the oldest gospel? What the fuck? What are you doing?
Know what scholars know today about things like the Bible.
Yeah, and you know, he explains how like the first Christian preachers, how they were, you know, selling Christianity, and then
Hold on. People question Paul's existence? Really? I thought he was like the one the one dude we could actually be sure of from the Bible thing, right? And I always thought, or not always thought, I've recently whimsically mused, that Paul just made the whole thing up, you know, because he wanted to be the cult leader, you know, and he's like, man, that Jesus guy, that cult leader that had that. Well, okay, I mean, I'm taking it like like Jesus did actually exist. If Jesus didn't exist, he just made the whole thing up. If Jesus did exist, he was just like, man, that worked out great for Jesus. I should just use that guy as a means to an end, and then I can elect myself the next cult leader, you know, and then everybody has to do everything I want them to do, and I get to be awesome and stuff.
And there was the second generation of Christian preachers, then the third generation of Christian preachers, and you know how the ideas and the motivations and everything gets lost in each generation. And then eventually down the road, it's kind of like the starting point. We don't even remember where this started, but we do know that the preachers are making a living off of this stuff, right?
Seriously, we all know that the disciples at least
Why does he talk so weird?
got persecuted. They didn't make lots of money for this, okay? And then according to church history, all of them were martyred. But even if not just church history, we know
They could have been brainwashed, dude. Like, as far as I can tell, it makes sense to me that it was just a really early cult, and we've seen cult followers do insane stuff. And sometimes they even die for the beliefs, you know, that I'm sure that they thought were true, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you know, that it's got to be true if people die for it. Like, even if you're there for the beginning of it, David Koresh, like, they all burnt, you know, and so and I'm sure they all still disbelieved in David Koresh or whatever. So we have examples of brainwashed people, you know, allowing themselves to be harmed for the cult because it's all they know. they've dedicated their whole life. It's too late, you know. So anyway,
know that Peter was killed, persecuted, and killed, and then we know that Paul was persecuted and killed. Those are the ones that were pretty high on, but the rest still at least got persecuted. They just didn't make lots of money for this, okay? This is not a good case at all.
They got everything for free, man. That was what Jesus was saying, was like, if you do this for the least of these, it was like they got taken care of and everything. But I don't know, whatever. Even if they didn't, I thought that Jesus and Paul both said to like pay your pastors and stuff. No?
You know, the idea of Christianity is just like this game of telephone throughout history, especially when you have these people making a living off of it.
That's absolutely, but it drives me crazy when people use the telephone game.
You know,
it literally is, though. It's worse than that. It's worse than a game of telephone, basically, because you not only have a bunch of illiterate scribes copying down mistakes, right? But then you have some literate ones that want to just add some shit in because they just feel like it. They're like, you know, I would have actually liked it if Jesus would have done something like, okay, so like a woman that was in a relation, you know, in multiple relationships. That is good. Just, are you writing this down? Write this down. Okay, woman, multiple relationships, right? And they're gonna stone her for, you know, for sleeping with all them people. And Jesus is like, hey, y'all, let's not do that. Are y'all perfect? Yeah, didn't think so. And then everybody puts their stones out. Can we write this? Right, seriously, you're writing this down, right? All right, let's get that in the manuscript here, because I want to add that. I want to add that to the story. Like, we got stuff like that. And they just add it. as well as I'm pretty sure the last chapter of Mark, right? So there's a lot that gets added, and then that gets copied, right? And then it gets plagiarized from one book to another. But then again, the person that's plagiarizing Mark also has their little narrative that they want to put in there, and so they change the narrative again. So it's worse than telephone, man, because you have people changing it on purpose. Telephone, they're at least trying to get it right, and it still gets fucked up. But like in this one, they're trying to change it. Anyway,
Someone like Thomas Paine is a very important figure for like the
what's up, Nitty? How we doing, dude?
history of biblical scholarship. He wasn't a biblical scholar himself,
Right.
but these 18th century.
Paul had a ghostwriter. I didn't know that. Remember that show? You remember that show? Not Ghost Rider. Oh, with a D, the cool skull flaming thing. Not that. It was just a ghost that would write stuff, but it was great. Okay. I loved that show. Solving mysteries with a writing ghost so you can learn cursive, I guess. I don't know what I'm pretty sure it was an educational show, but I forgot what it was educating on. Was it writing?
English deists mainly led to the development of biblical scholarship and the scholarship in early Christianity, especially in Germany, as it turns out, but then also in England and France and eventually in America. If you want to know what was really going on in Christianity, you don't want to rely on what they have to say because they're at the very beginning. It'd be like, if you're going to be studying what evolutionary biologists think today, you definitely have to start with Darwin. But you can't base your views of evolutionary biology on Darwin. You've got to see what we've found since then, because even though Darwin was a genius, there are other geniuses who are standing on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And so he opened the way for people to learn more and more and more. But it'd be silly to assume that like everybody now agrees with what he was saying then, because they don't. And it's the same with any field. I
feel like this is driving this kid crazy. He's like, what are you talking about? That's closer to when it happened. How could we know more later? It's been more time. This doesn't make any fucking sense.
You look at the giants because they're just absolutely amazing and they make these breakthroughs. But if you want to see what we know now, both on the basis
giants suck, whatever, man. They're not even
of new discoveries and new ways of analysis and deeper analysis by
that is a joke. I have no idea if the giants are good or not. Yeah, because I don't know like which sports follows the Giants. You don't know either. You're going to tell me the opposite thing and then mess with me.
Experts. Then you have to go to the modern experts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the most profound things that I took away from that book was that it is the gift of reason that gives man the ability to discover God in the first place, because it's impossible. Like, we didn't come from nothing. Right? We go backwards in time. Like, I came from my parents came from their parents. Like, things don't just appear out of thin air. So it is just by us being as intelligent as we are, we have to understand that we can't appear out of thin air. There has to be some sort of higher power, right? Without that gift of reason.
No, that's, I mean, you're right in that we couldn't pop out of thin air, but there doesn't, I mean, what would the higher power be? Just reality? The cosmos? Because I'd agree with that, but I don't think that's what he's talking about.
We don't have that.
Well, that's what these.
So it's like the human brain. There's something ancient in the human brain through evolution or whatever it is that makes it wired to be dependent on believing in a higher power.
Yeah.
Okay, but going back to his point,
because I mean, kinda, but that's because it used to serve a very useful role in our development, which was to answer questions that we couldn't answer, even though we were very curious creatures back then. It still just acted as a placeholder until we could figure shit out.
Point of saying the telephone game and relying on people who wrote books.
Sorry, I have pneumonia right now, so I'm kind of like battling this stuff and still trying to go to work and everything. It's probably not the best idea, and still trying to do my hobby. I gotta rest sometimes, but I can't.
In the 1800s, and like literally we found
Anarchic Fox. What's going on, dude? Tons of mice. How we doing? What's up? It's good to see you. Hell yeah. My third wife popped out of thin air all the time. Really? just because you weren't expecting her, and she just came around the corner. I got you. I know it. And you're like, what?
Thousands of more
That didn't make sense. I don't know what. So what's up, Tons of Mice? Just saying it, you know.
manuscripts since the 1960s, like way after that. Like we found more and more stuff that are dating way farther back. So we know more now about what that Bible actually said during that time compared to when the King James Bible was written.
I mean, it's
He just said that, dude. Yeah.
much debated about why people believe in higher power, and there are a lot going on. But the whole project that the people of the Enlightenment were doing, that Paine and the other people of the Enlightenment were doing, whether historians or philosophers or theologians or biblical scholars, whatever, what they were doing is they're trying to break with the tradition of the church that had been established for hundreds and hundreds of years, where your knowledge came from revelation from God. That's how you know things, because God reveals it to you.
And it's crazy how presuppositionalists like go back to that. They're like, oh no, that was right. That was right. Like we can only, how we know that logic is logical? It's revealed. It has to be revealed to you. Otherwise, how do you know logic is logical? You can't know. That's right. You could be a brain in a vat. I win.
And the people with the Enlightenment realize, well, actually, we can figure things out ourselves. And that's when the sciences develop. And it's
it's what Wheat Bro said, eat raw garlic. It kills everything. I've heard that actually. It's like an anti, what's the word? Antibiotic, not an antibiotic, but it kills bacteria and stuff or whatever.
It's only when someone like Isaac Newton comes along and
Deep State. How's it going, Deep State?
realizes, even though he's a devout Christian, he says, you can't trust revelation for anything. You've got to do the experiment. And if the experiment comes out to be differently from what you expect it to be because of your beliefs, so much the worse for your beliefs. Once you say that, you start science, and it changes everything. But Paine is all part of that, even though he's not a scientist.
Right. And a lot of those guys are.
But he like thinks like a scientist a bit more anyway. I mean, he still like ends up on the higher power exists thing, like he was just saying, this dude. But like it's all about like, hey, this is all just hearsay. I can't just believe stuff. And he like describes things like the virgin birth, things like that. Like if somebody told you that, even if it was the person that told you, even if it was Mary, you'd be like, bullshit. I don't believe you. But it's not even that with this. It's somebody else telling you that there was some other lady and that she, had a baby, even though she was a virgin. And he's just like, well, that's bullshit squared. To say something that Deep State likes to say. I like to
around Paine and like the founding fathers, they were.
Oh, you did batshit squared. I'm sorry. It's totally different. My bad.
Masons, right?
I suppose so. I'm not sure how that affected their. Yeah.
Freemasonry was a big thing with the founding fathers.
Okay, let's talk about that too. Sure. Yeah. I wonder how Bart Ehrman's gonna respond to that. Who I just saw somebody I was gonna say hi to, and now I'm like totally. I'm sorry. All right, hold on.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Oh, Deviant Outcast. That's it. Hey, he said almost 30 minutes late, but I'm here and happy as a baked clam. I mean, if you were a baked clam, I'm pretty sure that would suck. You wouldn't be happy. You would have been baked, unless it was like baked like the other kind.
That has nothing to do with anything. Very, very interesting stuff. And
even this kid's like, okay, that has nothing to do with nothing. I don't know why. What are you bringing that up for? Okay, cool. Masons. Yeah. Anyway.
obviously, the thing is, he missed the one point, though. A lot of Christians in the early time started science. A Catholic monk is the one who literally who came up with the Big Bang Theory. So Christians didn't just think, oh, we can't do science. Science doesn't debunk God. It actually furthers our knowledge to get to know God more in about his massive handiwork and his beautiful design.
Okay, that's enough out of you, right? No, and it is in contradiction with it. Dude, I was just watching a for whatever reason, it's probably because I stop and watch them every time. Flat Earth stuff comes up constantly in my my Facebook, like whatever, what are those things called, reels or something? Anyway, it doesn't matter. And it comes up like, and there was one like say this lady basically like chastising any Christian that doesn't believe in a flat earth model, because that's the true Christianity, is with the flat earth. So, repent about the shape of the earth that you're just, all acting like stuff you don't know. It's flat. Repent. Like, it was so crazy. I'm like, see, this is so when people talk about, oh, it's not in contradiction with science. Like, yeah, it is a lot. It might not be all the time, but it's going to at some point.
So I think that's super cool. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you've never decided to follow Jesus, I encourage you to do that today.
Oh, really? I never would have thought that you would say something like that.
In the description below, you will be able to click a link to help you to decide to follow Jesus for the first time. And
what? You need a link for that? He's like, okay, here's how you dedicate your entire life to an undead carpenter ghost that you got to pretend to cannibalize on a regular basis. That's normal. You're crazy. You're weird. Okay. You're the weird one for not wanting to cannibalize a carpenter. All right. So that was one. That went pretty quick, but we got more. We got a lot more, actually. This one, we're gonna get a lot of Adam and Eve ads out of this one, I think. The last one, not so much. Just the one about the ass face thing. There was this guy, which is kind of funny. Anyway, all right, here we go. This lady, God, I swear she's saying everything that I was into in like 2010. You know what I mean? All of this stuff was like stuff that that was coming up on YouTube before the YouTube algorithm was like, oh, we better not send people down these insane rabbit holes, because then they think people are like cutting people's face off like underneath pizza shops and shit, so they're like, we got to update the model. But back then, this is what you would get.
Is a humiliation ritual. And why is it being done in the first place? A humiliation.
First of all, wearing women's clothing, not humiliating. It is empowering. God damn it. Okay. Anyway.
Ritual is a theory where many celebrities are under control by.
Why is this humiliating? Like what? Because he's got makeup on? What is wrong with this? This is artsy as fuck. Like, that just is kind of cool. I don't know.
The industry and sacrifice their dignity in order to achieve fame or maintain their influence. It is allegedly an initiation process.
Yeah, I'm glad you included the word allegedly, because you're going to have to be saying that a lot.
Process where you must lose something to get something. And like me, you may have asked.
What's up, Kent? Tsunami, what's up? Holy shit. Hell yeah.
Yourself, why must these artists and these celebrities humiliate themselves to rise to the top?
Millions of dollars, Yeah, it's it. It's just that. Millions of dollars.
Well, as always, when we take something dark and we hold it up to the light, we can see where it all stems from. Humiliation.
That's not true. If you can take something dark, hold it up to a light, and then all of a sudden you can see like the roots and stuff. No, that's not how anything.
Rituals have been something I've been trying to understand.
No, it was an abstract thing. I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
And wrap my head around for a while. And recently I found myself again super curious. So I searched, is the word humiliation in the Bible? And I was met with a verse that made all of this make sense.
Oh my good God. What? Okay. So I'm trying to guess it. Hold on. I can get it. I know the Bible. Humiliation. Yeah, I guess I don't know the Bible that well. But humiliation's fun. Like, it's just good, it's a good time. You get locked inside a kennel, right? And if you want to do stuff like what I just described, go to adamandeve.com, enter that code word Brentley at checkout, get your butt some stuff. 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com. You can be as humiliated as you want, okay? And they got all the restraints for it, and they probably have some of the clothing too that you could wear. I don't know how it goes, but yeah, go to adamandeve.com and get your butt some stuff. All right, there we go.
Pride ends in humiliation.
Oh, pride. And that's some of the funnest kind of the stuff. You know, you'd love seeing that arrogant. Anyway, it's fun.
All humility brings honor. And this made everything click for me in a number of ways because truly, those who are all about themselves want to be worshipped by others, want to make a god out of themselves, will do anything and hurt anyone.
What? Hold on. Just actors and stuff. They all just like they want to be gods and want to be worshipped. What if they just like the art form, dude? Like that's a thing. There are people that just like, and yeah, cool. I wouldn't mind being successful or whatever. But so the people that don't still go on to teach, you know, and they do a class at the rec center on Thursday nights.
To get to the top, they may feel like they are rising, but truly they are falling. And pride every time ultimately ends in humiliation. And why is this? Because God
I'll pick up something dark. I get scratched all over because he doesn't want to be picked up. It's a cat. That's a cat. I know this one. Because dogs don't do that. That's why I like dogs.
resists the proud.
Where Noah and I diverge. No illusions. Just, you know, that's big disagreement. You know, we had a big falling out over the cat and dog thing. It's whatever, you know.
Pride will naturally bring
Noah's wrong. He's wrong. All right. I don't care. Cats are stupid.
a man low. Similarly to the devil himself, the one who hoped to rise higher through his pride will ultimately fall in the end. One of the most well-known stars.
What the hell? What was that supposed to be? That was a demon? Is that's what that was? Or that was the devil?
Who was allegedly involved in a humiliation ritual.
Allegedly. Who?
Is Doja Cat.
Oh, really? Why?
This is head to toe Balenciaga. I have Pancanesi as the jewelry, and then I don't know. Brett would know. I have parts of 4 on my hands, and then this is Balenciaga.
Oh my God, amazing.
And then for my grills, I had alligator Jesus do fangs for me, but one fell out.
Okay, stop playing with her. If you give anybody a styling tip, what would it be?
Have fun. I'm boring. I don't know.
There were just so many things that led.
I'm boring. I don't know. Whatever. Something better. Think of your own thing to say shit.
People to start connecting the dots, but she is obviously not the only one that people have speculated have been involved in humiliation rituals. Once you start looking deeper, you see how often this goes on. One of the biggest forms of
And if you want to go deeper, go to adamandeve.com. And you can get a toy for that. You know, go as deep as you want. Just make sure that the base is flayed, right? Right, Tsunami? She's like, help me with that. You know, I didn't think about that, and you don't want it to get lost up there. Anyway, okay, back to the thing.
Humiliation rituals and kind of what they are at its core in Hollywood is doing something really, really embarrassing in the public eye. And we see this take.
Yeah, Flip Normal. Thank you so much. Hell yeah. Sent 5 Punk Apostate gift memberships. Hell yeah. And you get a lot of good stuff too. You really do. I promise. You got like you got a video early, well, just yesterday, and then it came out today. I sometimes I do them the last second, but you know, but you also get videos that are just for you. Right. And then you get live streams that are just for you. And then you get emojis that have special powers during the live streams that y'all are allowed to use, by the way. I don't know if you know this, which I mean, they have used them a couple times, so I'm not going to, you know, give them too hard a time. But there is the videos I pick are really good. And that's what it is.
Place right in front of our eyes in so many different movies and so many different situations when men put on dresses or men dress as women.
Wait, what? Hold on. I'm sorry. I was doing too much of the
rituals and kind of what they are at its core in Hollywood is doing something really, really embarrassing in the public eye. And
what if people don't find it embarrassing? What if that? Because your whole argument is built on the presupposition that wearing a dress is just so humiliating. It's like you feel terrible yourself because you're wearing the wrong gender stuff. Like it's not that bad. My favorite like punk icon wears dresses like all the time when he's playing live, or what he did before he quit just last year.
We see this take place right in front of our eyes in so many different movies and so many
That one. I went the wrong direction. Anyway.
different situations when men put on dresses or men dress as women.
He does not look embarrassed at all. Almost looks as if he's kind of enjoying it. I don't know.
Martin tried to put me in my first dress. When he had to go on his hiatus, he tell me, Cat, when I come back, I need you. You my young partner. You my brother in comedy. When I come back, just promise me that my next movie, it'll be me and you. But this nigga want me to get in a dress with him.
I'm doing a movie with Martin. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in it.
NoFX sucks live. That's it. But recording, when you can go back as many times as you want, damn amazing. Okay. Have you heard Eddie, Bruce, and Paul? Go listen to that. All right. Then tell me they suck.
The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene for Martin sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute.
Oh, man. Wait a second. You're telling me that this guy is the guy that's like famous for being transphobic, basically. Weird that he would be on your side about this whole thing, man. Jesus.
Put this dress on. And what? No, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it. I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't even wear no dress to be funny. Am I Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like,
So weird, man. Such a weird. You're an actor, dude. You're an actor. You're a comedian that does comedy movies. So strange. Like, no, dress is where I draw the damn line. Okay, I'm funny, but I won't be funny like that because I hate trans people.
He leaves, and then like the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. Bro, this is Brokeback Mountain here, so.
You don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work. Yeah. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when I be like,
when's that? When?
These
was in that. That's a fucking.
And so you can.
Because the one, it's not even. It was a kilt. That was a. I don't even. So do kilts count? Because this is all very cultural. Like, because kilts are pretty badass when you're, if you're Scottish and shit, right? But here in America, like it's a skirt, whatever. It's not. It's a kilt.
Fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when
isn't that a kilt? That's a kilt. I'm pretty sure. None of this looks bad. What's this one there for? I don't even think did they just put that one in there by accident. And this stupid white shirt. What even is that? That's so dumb. I hate it. That's so embarrassing right there. Like this is so subjective. That's not even a dress, dude. Those are shorts. They are camo though, which is it sucks. Anyway, camo suck. Don't wear camo.
I be like,
what is it? 1993? Get out of here.
These guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not. It's weird.
And we're saying, remember when Chappelle used to do shows with a cat? What was it? A cat? Oh, Cat in the Hat stovepipe on his head and a diaper outside his jeans. Clearly, the man is concerned with his personal dignity. Yeah, but because he's obsessively transphobic. I mean, that's really what it is. He's obsessed about it. So it's not surprising that this whole thing happened, even though he did all that. And I'm pretty sure he wore even crazier stuff than that too. Like, Jesus Christ.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one.
Even though Big Mama said that's the plot of the movie. Jesus. And Miss Doubtfire. Yeah.
Person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully.
It's weird because it's like all comedians. Like, I guess unless they do a Tu Wong Fu or something like that.
Looks at that scene, man, strong brothers. Why are they putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant. I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine. Think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later. The whole new.
What is this from? When did he do? I don't think I've seen this movie or show. I don't know what it is. Like, is this AI? They found an AI image and they're like, no, that was a movie. Oh yeah. And Will Smith did it too.
Damn, how did you write the scene so fast?
Dave Chappelle, another great comedian, said that, in the industry, they tried to make him wear a dress. Have you ever ran into that with scripts? And is that something that, you wouldn't do, for?
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress.
I don't think anyone saw this one coming.
I mean, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you.
Wait, he just said he didn't do it, and that he did on CNN. Was that? It's like, oh, except for my CNN appearance. What the fuck? What?
That with scripts and is that something that you wouldn't do for?
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress.
I don't think anyone saw this one coming.
I mean, you have to have.
That definitely ran, and I could understand what he said. Definitely what? And then anyway, I don't know.
To have boundaries, you have to have limits that you refuse to cross. Yeah. I'm a brand. You need to.
I'm a brand. Don't say that. Come on, that sounds terrible. Like now, I like you like 10% less now because of the brand thing.
Protect your brand at all times. When things happen that can possibly affect your brand.
What's up, Flip Normal? How we doing, dude?
Your brand can be diminished, and you don't want that to happen. So protecting my brand is definitely a priority.
And if you've already been,
jeez Louise, okay, and dresses are my brand. Okay.
Researching this stuff like I did, then you probably were already aware that a lot of people speculated that this is exactly what happened when it came to the Mike Tyson fight with Jake Paul. A lot of people speculated that Mike Tyson needed money and was paid to let Jake Paul win. And that this whole thing was a humiliation ritual in order for Mike Tyson to pay off his debts. I don't know.
Wait, what was that? I missed the part where he was naked. Wait, hold on. What they were betting or something? They were betting to see. Okay. I think both of them just walked away with a buttload of money. That's what they got.
To let Jake Paul win. And that this whole thing was.
I don't think that you let him win. Are you serious? The dude's like 1,000,000 years old. And it's like, okay, come on, man.
A humiliation ritual in order for Mike Tyson to pay off his debts. I don't know. No. I don't think, God, they would say anything to think stuff. Like, no, he can't beat Mike Tyson. Because the thing is, too, all those people with their brain in the past back then were like, Mike Tyson is going to wreck this guy. And then it's like, but that's just not realistic, man. Like, that's not, I know that's what everybody wants because that's what everybody wants, but that's not what's going to happen. That's not what was ever going to happen. But geez Louise, that's so funny. It's interesting, but it's also interesting how many stars we have seen and known flying high in the industry, and then all of a sudden we slowly watch them fall apart at the seams. It's so interesting.
Wait, what's that? Wait, who is that?
Stars we have seen and known flying high in the
these two kind of have lost their mind. As far as I understand, I didn't follow the whole thing, and I don't even know the people's names that are within the whole story. These people are crazy. They're crazy, and they're wrecking movies, and everybody's mad about it. And the director is right, and she is wrong. Yeah, it's according to Nikki. Again, I didn't really follow the story, but there was a lot on TikTok about it, apparently.
The industry, and then all of a sudden, we slowly watch them fall apart at the seams.
Is that the one, dude? Because when shit, what the hell is his name? Wow, names are just flying out my head right now. Okay, I couldn't think of Dave Chappelle a minute ago. How do you not think of it? Anyway, but is this the dude for The Flash? Because he did kind of fall apart. That poor guy, holding people up at gunpoint and stuff. It was just like, okay, didn't see that one coming. Didn't have that on my 2024 bingo card. I don't know.
It's so interesting that fame doesn't last. Pride doesn't last. And this also really had me thinking about how many,
like, you just get too prideful. They got to take you down a peg. Okay. You got to How does this make any sense, dude? What? But for what? Why would? Okay, I don't even. I'm trying to think of just the headspace that you'd have to be in to be like, you know what? That guy, Will Smith, is doing. He's a little bit too cool lately, and he's got kind of an attitude problem. He's walking up on stage, slapping people. All right, I think we need to. Let's put him in a dress. We need to get him in a dress right now because this is stupid. So, you know, who does he think he is?
The influencers we have seen fall, influencers that were incredibly popular, everyone loved them, and then all of a sudden, what happens? Something gets leaked. Something happens that makes everyone turn on them. Something comes out about them that people didn't really like too much. And bam.
The people, well, they kind of sort of was not okay exactly with it, kind of a little bit, not really the big deal, but you know, this was a thing. Hold on, let's hear that half-hearted
something gets
mediocre.
leaked. Something happens that makes everyone turn on them. Something comes out about them that people didn't really like too much, and bam.
The people didn't really like too much. Whoa.
Humiliation comes. And in this day and age, humiliation can be a storm. You could have millions of people on TikTok turn on you overnight.
The undisputed king of Twitch, Kai Cenat, became the NYPD's most wanted fugitive in the blink of an eye. And if that wasn't enough, he somehow gets roped into a celebrity baby scandal and finds himself dodging allegations that could destroy everything he built. Haley Welch turned from a catchphrase master to a no.
Okay, well, I mean, this is just people figuring. Oh, is she trying to say that like the Illuminati? Because this is Illuminati stuff. I don't know if you're aware that's the they that is, and I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but that's the they that humiliates people. It's the Illuminati, and yeah, that's it. That was the point I was making. It's the Illuminati.
Notorious meme queen in only half a year. December 4th of 2024, 176 after her rise to fame, Haley Welch officially disappeared from the public eye. The lawsuits, scandals, and backlash had finally caught up with her.
You can have millions of people.
Oh, that's what they're saying. Yeah, that the Illuminati will like make up stuff about you. Is that what I and then plant a bunch of evidence all over the place for it, sometimes in video form? Okay, I've heard people say stuff about that, like at like Bohemian Grove, you know, those old see what I'm talking about. This is like YouTube from 2010, but like it, you know, Bohemian Grove was that place where Alex Jones like snuck in, and they got the big owl statue, and they pretend to sacrifice an effigy or whatever. But yeah, and they said that they would make them do stuff like that. That was what the YouTube videos back then with the Requiem for a Dream soundtrack would say, that it was they were doing. They were making them do really bad stuff. And then they take pictures of them doing the really bad stuff, and then they'd be like, "We're going to use this against you. Okay, so you better be whatever we tell you, whenever we tell you."
Coming after you, making fun of you, and dragging you across the internet. The mountain of pride to the
Dragging you across the internet. Oh.
valley of humiliation and shame. And this topic really hits close to home for me because I achieved fame on social media for years, and my life was full of pride. I was all about me. I wanted to have the most likes on Instagram. I wanted to be the center of attention.
Yeah, you clearly don't do that anymore. You hate attention. That's why you deleted your YouTube away.
And I got it. I was riding in sports cars. I was living in LA. I was in music
Shaming.
videos. I was achieving 500,000 likes, posing in barely nothing on Instagram. And before I knew it, the devil came slowly to steal, kill, and destroy my life. And a lot of people
you're talking right now. He didn't kill or destroy your life. What the hell are you talking about? Definitely didn't kill. Okay, maybe destroyed, but definitely didn't kill.
Witness that right on camera. I quite literally started to fall apart in front of everyone, and I hit rock bottom. While a lot of you know the ending to that.
I used to do that all the time. It's not that big a deal. You just got to progressively stop doing it, and then you can be like, man, that guy was wasted all the time, wasn't he? You know
that story. But Jesus was there waiting for me. But like many of these music artists and these celebrities, I was walking in pride and I was playing the devil's game. So don't think that didn't have consequences. All the money that I made, all of the praise that I received, playing the devil's game, the devil came back fourfold. And there was great.
Wait, what was the devil's game? Just making content that wasn't specifically Christian? That was and wanting to be successful at it. Okay.
humiliation sitting right at my door. People edited photos of me on a cross, made forums on
Whoa.
Reddit dedicated to attacking me. My life was threatened numerous times. I was blackmailed.
Okay. Starting atheist podcast. Okay. And then tell me about all the death threats. Shut up. Get out of here.
Numerous times. Don't think I wasn't scared, and don't think I wasn't desperately leaning on this verse from Isaiah. Do not fear, for you will not be put to shame, and do not feel
Yeah, you will. It's okay. I was saying, like, if you're talking about anything Christian, shame's like at the goddamn center of the whole thing. So I don't know what you're talking about. And do not feel humiliated or ashamed. Wait, what? Do not fear, for you will not be put to shame. And do not feel humiliated or ashamed, for you will not be disgraced. Okay. Kind of just repeating the same thing over and over here.
humiliated or ashamed, for you will not be disgraced. And that's exactly what happened. Long story short, God did not let me be put to shame, and he put my life back together after it fell apart and turned it into something beautiful.
Devil's fiddle match, exactly.
But I say all of that, and I make this video today to shine the light on pride and how destructive it is. And as Christians, how it should be our goal.
What is this? How does this? What is this stock footage for?
Each and every day to make sure pride hasn't made its way into
Anybody that takes a picture of themselves in a cute outfit in a cool spot, how dare you? Feel guilty, okay? Shame on you. Goddamn.
area of our lives. There is a great book called Gentle
Hey, Kari, how's it going?
and Lowly, and I totally recommend it to you all. I will link it below. But truly, there is power and a beautiful life and path.
And wearing paper bags. What was that?
Great book.
Dressing like the Handmaid's Tale over here. What the fuck?
Book called Gentle and Lowly, and I totally recommend it to you all. I will link it below. But truly, there is power and a beautiful life and path.
That is just a paper bag. What is that, dude? Like, that's just that looks like I sewed it together. And I only use safety pins because that's sewing to me. That is, I mean, arguably, it's almost the same thing. It accomplishes the same goal for me, anyway, as far as getting patches on jackets. But anyway,
full of fruit and blessings behind being gentle and lowly, behind being humble,
behind being lowly. What the fuck? See, this is the problem. Like, when you tell you got to be humble, got to be humble. You know, you got to pride yourself on being humble. It's like, that's funny. I remember, like, I used to think like that, like, gotta be humble. And it's like, it really, if you take, it really does screw with your self-esteem. I would say, like, if you take any kind of credit for stuff, it's like, I shouldn't be doing this right now. I can't take credit for this wasn't, I'm sorry, I gotta say something. It wasn't me. Okay. Stop saying that I did something good. Everything I do sucks. Jesus did that. And he did it through me. Okay. I just am lucky enough to be the vessel. All right. I know it was the song that I wrote and then everybody liked or whatever, but I didn't, don't say I did anything good. I don't do things good. I do things bad. Jesus makes them better.
Behind being about yourself last, putting God and everyone else before you. This is the formula.
When you put God and everybody else before you, please don't. Please don't. Please don't do that. You got to love yourself. Okay. Got to accept yourself. Got to love yourself. Because you know, if you start doing what she's saying, your self-efficacy just goes through the floor. And then you just won't do anything ever. And you won't try anything new because you're like, I'm going to just screw it up. And then you don't, you know, it's all because you're thinking like this. You know, just saying like, hey, no, I got to love myself. It's okay to have some self-love. You got to take care, because the other thing that this causes is like addictive behaviors and stuff, because then you start to think that you don't deserve a happy life. So you start doing drugs because you think that's what a bad person would do, because you deserve it, because you just screw up everything. And anyway, but yeah, all because that shame stuff. Anyway,
formula that God gives us in the Bible. This is the formula that will change everything in your life. Not desiring to be seen by man, but desiring to be seen by God. Not desiring to be the most beautiful to man, but desiring to be beautiful inside. As man looks on the
she is like, I love how they like, she must have like put into the search, like overly fully clothed praying, like inside wearing a full, like 3 jackets, a sweater, probably got a hoodie about like that. Jeez Louise.
The outward appearance, but the Lord
Like praying in too much clothes.
looks on the heart and not desiring to be famous. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? God bless you guys. I will see you in
The devil seems, that is me. I am the devil seamstress, God damn it.
the comments, and I'll see you for our next video.
Guys, what's up? Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to see more videos,
Bible chick. I'm the Bible chick. Oh, it's so funny. All right. What are we thinking? What time is it? Are we out here? Oh, yeah, we got plenty of time. What are you thinking? Do we want to keep going with this lady, or should we take a roll of the dice? I'm gonna leave it up to the chat. What do y'all think? Because we can take a roll of the dice with the home page, or we can keep going with this lady. What do y'all think? I hope there's not a huge lag, because I'm just gonna sit here and wait. Seriously, y'all, like, just the people that are commenting. Okay, roll the dice. Got it. Thank you. Flip normal wins. Oh yeah. New. Okay. Got it. We will do that then. I don't know. What is that? I love these. These ones are so funny to me. Like, watch what happens when they mock God. If anything ever happens to me, it's like, doesn't matter. Like how, whatever. If it's any bad thing, or that's because of that damn punk Apostate YouTube channel, right? Because he makes jokes about God, and now he deserves that cancer or whatever the fuck, Anyway, where are we at? Johnny Chang needs to stop teaching immediately. I love how they say that he, like, they just fight with each other. I mean, I guarantee that Chang dude's also a Christian, and yet he's like, that Christian needs to shut the fuck up, man. Just shut up. You're the wrong kind of Christian. Atheists in America. Atheist Phil. Oh, I think that's an actual atheist pod. Oh, that's a new one. This is disgusting behavior. I don't know what that is. What do we got here? Is this dude really trying to? It's like, Hitchens wasn't even really. Hold on, we got to do this one. He's talking shit about Hitchens.
This kind of bad behavior is innate in religion, is part of religion itself. It's not an abuse of it.
He's like, I'm a debate teacher, okay? And the guy made famous for debating. He's not even doing it good. It's like,
or something undertaken in the name of. It's a direct consequence of the willingness to believe in the supernatural and the willingness to believe in a supernatural dictatorship in particular. It's Bronze Age peasant Palestinian
dark mode. No, I don't. What is that where it's all dark colored? Right? No, it's very light. It's very light. I don't know. It makes me feel better. When it's too dark, I can't see it as good.
This kind of evil behavior is not endemic to Christianity. It's endemic in character.
Weed bro is way behind. You should roll the dice, man. We already did that like 10 minutes ago, dude. Where you been at? Okay. Oh man. Oh, he's asking me. Hold on. I'll get it. Hold on. We'll put it out. Hold on. Can you hold this, dude? Yeah, take a puff out of that. There you go. Okay, hold on. Let me write the thing.
Pictures and perversions of Christianity.
Much of Hitchens' issue is rooted in a thorough misunderstanding of Christianity and the Bible. I have a high view of the man. I just don't think he's debating at all. And I think he knows it. I think he went into these kinds of situations because it was great marketing for his books. This is one of the most popular debates on YouTube.
You think it was good marketing for his books? That's what it was? Like, hold on. Okay.
Of all time. And it's between two powerhouses. On the one side, John Lennox, mathematician, philosopher, and Christian. And on the other side, Christopher Hitchens, author, speaker, and atheist. But what's really going on in this debate? Why is this really popular? Who really wins in the exchange that we're about to watch? It might not be who you think. We're about to jump in right now. But first, welcome back to Wise Disciple. My name is Nate, and I'm helping you become the effective Christian that you are meant to be. Before I jumped into this ministry full-time...
Okay, that's that pride stuff that she was talking about. Was that I'm helping you, me, not Jesus through me. God damn it, I'm doing it, okay? And I'm making you effective because before you suck.
I was a debate teacher, and so I look at theology and apologetics debates in order to analyze balls and strikes as I see it. All right.
And if you want to analyze balls, at least, go to adamandeve.com and, you can analyze them, play with them, whatever you want to do. Go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley at checkout to get 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley. Get your butt some stuff. Okay.
Make sure to like, sub, and share this one around, but only if you find it useful.
And if you want to be a sub and maybe get some humiliation going on, right? Go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code. Oh, wait, we just did one. We got to do that again. That was too soon. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing here. It was just too perfect.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, we've got a
Amen. It was perfect. I know.
Debate here, and it goes back to, I believe, 2009. The topic for the debate was, "Is God great?" I hate that title.
That's the name of his book. Or no, it's that God's not great. That's the name of his book. Maybe that's why he said this is to hawk books or whatever.
I just think it's too vague, but nevertheless, here we are. So we're going to immediately jump over to a time of Q&A.
Oh, great. It is kind of funny. Like, great is just like, yeah, he's great. Yeah. I just sound sarcastic to me. I don't know. Maybe it's not, I don't think that's what it was intended. But it just great doesn't always sound good. Now it's because I think in this day and age we use it as sarcasm, like, oh great, it's a great thing. Like if you hear anybody like type out that's great, you're like, oh fuck you, what the hell, man? If they, if you're texting or whatever,
where the two interlocutors engage each other, that's about as close to cross-exam as we can get for something like this. So here we go.
One of our guests tonight wants to know if your beef really isn't more with, say, the concept of original sin and universal depravity than it really is with religion in general, that you have a very specific view of what religion is, and that's what you have a problem with.
Well, yes. I mean, I think all religions are equally untrue. Because I don't think there is a supernatural dimension to be appealed to, or to be used as an explainer of what we don't currently know about our species or about the cosmos. I think you get along much better if you exclude that assumption. And that means you don't empower. If you can exclude it, if you can limit it, you can limit it to a private belief, a belief people keep in their homes and so forth, which are, of course, more than entitled to do. It means
wait, who did? So this guy combined self-help guru shit with ministry and sales. Like 3 things that are awful. On their own, awful on their own. Combining them is just, it just makes you want to puke, Who is doing that? That's a Wise Disciple? Because I could see that. I could see him thinking he's doing some kind of self-help crap. What are you talking about? The guy that was just talking?
You don't find that you're dealing with a class of witch doctors, mullahs, priests.
Better not be saying that about Hitchens. Okay, that's, that is one thing that will get you just thrown right out of here. Okay, talking shit about Hitchens is not allowed.
Rabbis and others who make a living in politics by saying that they have special rights because they're doing God's will, which has been a curse to humanity throughout its entire existence. And currently, I think, in the form of theocracy and its various bullying threats, represents a very direct, immediate threat to the survival of our species. So yes, we'd be better off without it.
If this were a segment of Cross, then Lennox would probably ask the question again, because Hitchens isn't being very clear. The original question was, isn't it true that your real beef is with the doctrine of original sin and total depravity? This is probably a way of asking whether...
No, he said that he had a problem. He did answer the what? He was saying that the problem is these people appealing to these magical things and doing horrible things because of it, and then trying to use their magical beliefs to control other people through things like theocracy and stuff. He's saying he doesn't like all religion.
Or not, Hitchens is merely railing against Calvinism. which is one interpretation of the Bible. But other
He was just talking about. I was thinking he was talking about Islam there for a second, because didn't a lot of this get started because of 9/11? Like, wasn't that kind of like what kicked off the Hitchens ball?
Others exist, such that if Calvinism were not true, that then Hitchens would perhaps not have a problem with Christianity. That's actually a great question.
Hey, Wasted Human, how you doing? Hey, Jay, what's up? Hell yeah.
Because from my perspective, much of Hitchens' issue is rooted in a thorough misunderstanding of Christianity and the Bible. But it's unclear.
I know, because you got to know true Scotsman the hell out of everything, dude. Because otherwise, he's just talking shit about you. So you gotta somehow separate yourself from that criticism, and you do that by going, "That's not my kind of Christianity. That one's slightly different." Okay. They think that God creates people just to go to hell, all because of verses in the Bible that literally say that. In Romans chapter 9, read the chapter. It says that. Okay, it's like God's allowed to make you into a trash receptacle if He wants to, because you know He's God. He's allowed to do whatever He wants.
What He's answering. So at first he said yes, which was to suggest that his problem was with original sin and total depravity. But then he fell back to his talking points about.
No, he said his problem is with religion, dude. Holy shit. Dude, if this is how you teach debate, I feel bad for your students.
How he doesn't believe in the supernatural realm and the world's better off without religion, which is not what the questioner was asking. Unless Hitchens meant to say something like, well, no,
Okay, yeah, if I said, yeah, the wise disciple guy. Okay, thank you. His opening pitch made me think that, oh, you're right. It kind of did have that self-help feel, just with less Buddhism, which honestly would help him a bit. I think, sometimes that the Buddhist self-help is helpful. Yeah.
My problem is not with original sin and total depravity, and the vitriol that I have against the God of the Bible is simply explained by the fact that I don't buy any of it in the first place. But that's not exactly what he said. Let's see how Lennox responds.
Okay.
Would you like to respond to that, John?
Sorry, I missed the thing that I need to respond to.
Okay, that's all right.
I wasn't even listening. Oh, yeah, I probably should have. I forgot the debates go on during the questioning too.
Yes,
you mean we'd be better off without the doctrine of original sin?
Perhaps.
No, the question, John, was to say, obviously that wasn't my main objection. My main objection was to religion itself. And by the way, now you prompt me, I never said or meant to say that I attacked bad behavior that was undertaken or embarked upon in the name of, as you put it, religion. I think you were trying to be generous to me. I do insist that this kind of bad behavior is innate in religion, is part of religion itself. It's not an abuse of it or something undertaken in the name of. It's a direct consequence of the willingness to believe in the supernatural and the willingness to believe in a supernatural dictatorship in particular.
So I've looked at Hitchens debates in the past. So if you want to, you can go back and see more of this. I actually was a fan of Hitchens, his writing.
What? Are you? What?
Yeah, I still have some of his books in my library,
Really? You've kept the books all this time?
I met Hitchens briefly at a casino in Las Vegas. It was
you suck.
Actually a silly story. But the point is, I have a high view of the man.
Wait, you're skipping over the silly. I want to hear the silly story. I don't care about any of the stupid crap that you're about to say. What's the silly story? Let's hear that.
I just don't think he's debating at all. And I think he knows it.
No, he's just he's long-winded. Okay, that's sort of his thing. He likes to make several points as it's a weave. You weave the point with other points because you need all of that context to. Anyway, I don't know. Ow.
I think he went into these kinds of situations because
should not have touched my hand. I don't know why I did that.
Because it was great marketing for his books.
I hurt my hand. I think I pulled it or something. I don't know.
Actually gave him a platform to polemicize against religion. And that's pretty much it. That's why I think he
polemicized. I'm hearing this word polemic like way too much lately. Did one of the theists, apologists, come out and they're like, that's a polemic? And they're all like, oh, that's a great word. We need to all start saying this because they all did all of a sudden. Or I just happened to learn that word, and now it registers in my mind, you know, like that whole phenomenon thing.
Got up and quote unquote debated Christians, but he didn't really debate on substance. What he did, and this right here is a great example of this, you know, what he just said a second ago, is he essentially reframes the discussion around whatever he wants to say in that moment.
What? He reframes the discussion around whatever he wants to say. Sure. Okay, man.
You know, and then he just keeps doing that over and over again in clever British ways. You know,
like, isn't that what you're supposed to do, man? Like, I thought that's how you're trying to shape minds here. Okay. You're trying to sway people. Of course, you're going to skew the perception and answer. Oh my God, whatever.
The problem with that is it's not debating. But also, it
on drugs, kids. You heard it here, especially cocaine. Yeah, it'll make you smarter. Try it, go do it. You know, you'll believe that you're smarter, but you're not.
It ends up reducing the content of Hitchens' speeches down to a series of claims, primarily. Maybe every now and then he throws in some data, but primarily he just makes a bunch of claims up there, and the claims fit his narrative. And
what? Like, he just makes a bunch of claims. Really, the theists don't do that? That's not what the theists are doing?
Guess what? The narrative is very compelling because he's an intelligent and erudite individual.
So he's good at debating, is what you're telling me here. But you're saying he's good at debating while being bad at debating.
And that affords him the authority to speak to people. But if you remember that on the debate stage, there are 3 components to an argument. And I've talked about this in previous.
Wow, those wings really are right by his head, aren't they? It's Dumboing out, man. I see what you're talking about. Can he wiggle? Can he wiggle the
previous videos, right? We follow the Tolman model of argumentation.
Just needs a feather. If he had a feather, he could just float right off.
Then you see that, wait a second, Hitchens isn't making full arguments. Not really. And I think he knows that.
Like, what do you want him to fucking do? Like, pull out, like, just break out a syllogism? Like, if P1 actually is, and P2 is the 30, and so conclusion, what do you want him to do, man?
I think that is the case in some situations, and it is the case with some people who've named the name of Christ. But what I notice here is this, that Christ forbade that kind of behavior. He told his followers not to take up the sword. Why?
He literally tells people to get the sword at one point. Says, sell your jacket, get a sword, because we're going to go stab some motherfucker. I think I added the last part, but I mean, it's implied, right?
Because his kingdom was not of this world. So people who behave like that in the name of Christ aren't followers of Christ. They're disobeying him. And
unless you're following the part where he says, sell your jacket and get a sword. Because, see, this is how this cherry picking stuff works. Like, you're just wrong, man.
I would want to argue that as we look at his character and his attitude, this kind of evil behavior is not endemic to Christianity. It's endemic in caricatures and perversions of Christianity.
Dude, everybody's going to think, this is just so irritating. Because, like, when somebody does, and I don't know even really what the behavior is that they're talking about specifically, but like, anytime that anybody bad does something and then they happen to be whatever you are, you're like, he's not with me. Nope. No, I'm not. No. David Silverman, fuck that guy. Okay. Don't put me in the same barrel with that guy. Okay. He sucks. Like that's just like what. So it's the most natural thing in the world. Every time a Christian like goes into a Walmart or whatever on the South Side, like, screaming out white supremacist stuff and like, shooting people and shit. Like they're all just like, oh no, that's not my religion. That's not mine. Even though the first commandment is if you don't worship your God, then you're evil because you're breaking the moral law, which is kind of the basis of all racism. But yeah, no, it's Christian. This is what it does to people, man. Just because you don't apply it the way that they did doesn't mean that the source material isn't harmful, and doesn't mean that it doesn't lead to that kind of behavior a lot, because it does. We can see it.
See, this is what I mean. the original question had nothing to do with this. And like I said, I mean, if this were a formal cross, it would be appropriate to bring your opponent back to the original question and either ask it again or move on to another question. Now,
those would be your options. You're right.
They're talking about whether or not Christianity leads to violence, which is a really stupid argument to make. No offense to atheists, but I mean, you have...
I'm offended. Okay, buddy. It's a stupid argument.
Two ways to make this case: through the consistent teaching and example of Jesus Christ, as well as the consistent teaching and example of Christ's church. But both categories undermine the point that Hitchens is trying to make. So in other words, both Jesus' explicit teaching.
Didn't Jesus say, like, I didn't come to bring peace? Literally said, oh, no, peace? Nah, that's not me. That's not for me, man. I came to bring a sword and tear families apart. He said it in more words, but that's basically what he said. He came to bring a sword and rip families apart.
And his example by going to death, picking up his own cross and going to die. It proves that Christians are taught not to be violent.
Ever said if John Lennox is talking, it's wrong. Yeah, it's a gift.
That's why the history of the church displays scores of Christians who decided that they would rather be thrown to the lions in the Colosseum.
Jesus is a homewrecker. You're right.
Instead of putting up arms in defense. And that's why I think Hitchens should have abandoned his polemic against religion broadly and just focus more.
Are we trying to get into polemic word count here? What are we doing?
More on Islam. He would have had better footing to further his position.
Okay. That's too easy. I mean, for example, is it not written that I come not to bring a peace but a sword? Surely it is. Is it not?
And I've never even seen this one, but that's like the most obvious one to point to.
Written that those who won't follow me must depart and be cast into everlasting fire. Not a very gentle or pacific remark. Is it not said that if you don't give up your family, if you don't give up thrift, if you don't give up everyone who loves you and everything you love, to sacrifice yourself for me, you're not worthy? These are strongly coercive and implicitly authoritarian or even totalitarian statements. And
is he still not? Is he not debating? Yeah, he's like drinking nervous. He's like nervously drinking. Is it now? Yeah, because he is debating. He's got citing facts and everything, like you're saying he doesn't do, buddy.
C.S. Lewis rightly says, it's one of the very rare occasions where I agree with him.
Matthew 10:34. Yep.
He said, you may not say that the preachments of Jesus of Nazareth are all right, even if you don't accept the religious basis of them.
Kent, what's going on? I don't know if I said hey to Kent yet.
Lewis quite correctly says, if you don't accept that this man was the Son of God, you'll have to notice that many of his statements and sermons are either wicked or insane, or both. It's only on the belief that
it's both. It's so funny too, because I swear it's so funny. If you ever talk to a Christian and you ask them, they're like, man, but I just think it's the teachings of Jesus. If the people would actually follow the teachings of Jesus, everybody would be awesome. And I'm like, what teachings? And they could never answer. They're like, do unto others shit. I don't know, like any others, because that was already said by like Buddhists like 1,000 years prior or whatever. So like anything else. It said meek people are good. Like I should be blessed, and I don't know, man. Like because half of the shit that he says is like just cryptic nonsense, or talking about people going to hell, or talking about the end of time or whatever, or I'm God. And so worship me, screw the poor, break that perfume, wipe it on my feet, and stop crying about stupid poor people. They're always going to be here. Fuck poor people. Just clean my feet. Just do that. Jesus was an asshole.
The world is very soon coming to an end, and that he himself has the right to claim a messianic role in this conclusion, that any of it can make any sort of sense at all.
And if you want to do others, go to Adam and Eve. Or do unto others. You can do both. You can do others and do unto them. But go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code word friendly. Okay. That's what we do. A lot of ads in this one.
And everyone here knows at least some of the examples of what would be counted as wicked or insane if the messianic claims were found to be questionable, which they have been.
Okay.
So let's talk about what Hitchens did there, which was advantageous for him. Hitchens knows the Bible well enough to quote Jesus in ways that favor his position.
Yeah, he's debating the thing you literally just said he wasn't doing.
So set aside for a moment the fact that there's huge problems with his interpretation of Scripture. Hitchens cited an authoritative text against his opponent who holds to the same authoritative text. That's a good thing. Are you someone who wants to get into debate yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on the matter. I'm debating myself about that, actually.
Pay attention to what Hitchens just did. So in other words, what he did not do was merely relegate his position to subjectivity or to even sources of authority that don't apply to his opponent. He's using the Bible against a Christian. That's what a secular debate opponent should do with a debate along these lines.
Yeah, and the irony is that we usually know the damn book better than they do. It's incredible to me. And that was like what I used to get so frustrated by this, because and it was people that had like leadership positions in the church and everything. And I was one of those like gullible idiots that actually did wake up and read my Bible every goddamn day, and even bought the little like, hey, you got to read this. It comes with a calendar, and then it's got some kind of thing. It's like, now it's Tuesday, jump over to Isaiah, and we're going to read. Well, I would do those things. And I would also go through it just straight through, right? And I would get so annoyed with the other Christians who never, I would be like, what about this verse though, where it says it's like, because I would have issues with why does God get to say that he's jealous and stuff like that? And there'd be like people in leadership that didn't even know what verses I was talking about. And I'm like, don't you guys read the Bible? Because they don't. They just enjoy going to church and hearing the guy on the stage talk about the same 4 books over and over,
By the way, Christians should do the same thing with atheists. If they can, they should find sources of authority that an atheist would accept and use those against them. So William Lane Craig does this well. Michael
Not a good source of authority if you're talking to atheists, man.
Jones of Inspiring Philosophy does this well.
He sucks. Yeah, bad. All bad news. You got anybody better?
You should too. Okay. Now.
Okay, a little better. A little better than those two. I mean.
Here's the problem. Hitchens is a horrible exegete. So.
What? I don't know that word either. Is this going to be a word that I'm going to hear all over the place now?
Hopefully Lennox knows this, knows his Bible.
It's an exegete. I was thinking he's an effigy, as I would, like they're all going to pretend to light him on fire. I don't know what that is.
Bible better than the average Christian bear, and he can challenge Hitchens here.
I want to question that very seriously because, as I said, Christ forbade the use of the literal sword. So when he said, I came not to...
When did he say that? Jesus said, thou shalt not use a sword ever, even though he literally tells people to sell their jacket and buy a sword. What the hell is happening?
Bring peace in the sword. We can see exactly what that means by the fact that he has, his message results in a division in society. That is, I've got the choice to decide for him or against him. And he will honor that choice whichever way it goes. The one sword he didn't come to bring was the physical sword, because when one of his disciples used it to cut the ear off somebody, Christ put the ear back on.
I love how he tells that part of the story. Like it's not just completely insane sounding. It's like, just Peter just like lunges at this guy like, oh, I'm sorry, man. Hold on, Peter, come on, man. What are you doing? I'm sorry. It's embarrassing. Dude, well, you gotta work on your anger issues, man. Here you go, buddy. How's it feeling now? Are you all right? You feeling okay? Good to go. All right, look, Peter, seriously, learn to meditate, something like that. Learn to process your emotions. Learn to love yourself. Okay.
So they say.
Okay. Well.
Snap. See, Lennox,
what?
You can see the gears turning, right? So you can tell he wanted to end that.
But that part right there, okay, it's not about that. Like he's like, oh, his message is divisive or whatever. His message, the reason that he was saying that like he will come to bring a sword and turn a mother, because you notice every single time it's talking about a family. He's not saying I'm going to turn like humanity against itself or whatever, against other people. It's always like a family. And it's because he's a cult leader and people were following him. And he's like, hey, I'm actually going to make it okay to say fuck you to your own family. And so, you know, because that's what cult leaders do. And anybody that might go, hey, man, maybe don't sell all your shit and go follow some weirdo that wants perfume feet. You know, maybe don't do that. Right. We could have helped poor people with that stuff, man. What the hell? What are you doing? Just come home. Just come home, man. What are you doing?
That statement with, and Christ put the ear back on. Right. So Lennox is seeking to be memorable while at the same time providing a sufficient rejoinder. I mean, if Hitchens is
yeah, that's it. I know. Jesus, the carpenter that got nailed. And if you want to get nailed, go to adamandeve.com, right? And get your butt some stuff to me. That's all right. We got to just all right, Brent, pull it back a little bit, man. It's getting out of hand. All right. Getting too excited.
going to be memorable, then Lennox should be as well. Which, by the way, it's difficult to call here because this isn't a formal cross. But if you asked me, like, who?
Oh my God, will you shut up about the fucking formal cross thing, man? This is like so.
Who's doing a better job, like right now on the stage at this moment? I would say it's Lennox.
They're not using the Harvard laws of Steve or whatever. What are those laws? They're like called like Steve's laws or something. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's like Steve's rule. I can't remember what the name. I just always like, oh, it's just Todd's rules of debate or whatever.
Because while Hitchens is the master of framing things advantageously and being incredibly rhetorically persuasive.
Debate. Yeah, that's debate.
I don't think anybody would argue with that. He's trying to make points that cannot be justified on an objective reading of Jesus, which wouldn't be a problem, except for the fact that he just tried to use Jesus against his Christian opponent. And I think that he would do better to take a different approach. And he probably will, but.
It's called, Is God Great? He thinks Jesus is God. It's right in line with the damn thing. What are you talking about?
Let's see how this plays out.
The so they say comment may segue into the next question. This one's for Professor Lennox. One of our audience members wants to know if you're correct about
Brent, how we doing, man?
About there being a deity. He wants to know, or she wants to know, why Jehovah? Why not Osiris? Why not Buddha? Yeah. Why, in the words of one of our guests here, why is one myth or folktale more true than another?
Yeah, you hear how he's. I am not saying these words. Okay, this comes from somebody that's not me. Not a myth, not folklore. That's what she called it, not me. I'm me. She's not me. She said those words. Is this clear? You guys picking up what I'm laying down?
Well, first of all, I don't think they're all myths. I think there are many myths around in the world. And certainly the question is an important question because it makes the distinction between the kind of deism or even theism that responds to the design in the universe and so on and says, why this one God? My answer to that, ladies and gentlemen, is very simple. I have to decide that like I decide everything else on the basis of the evidence. And the evidence in the case of the life, death, resurrection of Jesus Christ has convinced me that he is God incarnate. So I base my faith
Brent's like, Jesus got nailed.
On that evidence. And of course, each one of us must make up our own mind. Now, if we had time, I could explain that evidence in detail. But the point of the question is, how can we decide? We have to decide on the basis of evidence, just as people who take the atheist view.
Yeah, there isn't any, man. There isn't any evidence. Like, what are you talking about?
They think the evidence points that way. And mercifully, we're still a free enough society that we can make these decisions, but we must make them personally. Okay.
What kind of answer was that? He's like, I use evidence, and so does he. And he disagrees with me about what the evidence says, but we got to choose for ourselves. Okay? We got to decide for like ourselves what is true based on the evidence. Did I answer the question? Or...
Solid answer. Right? Why Jehovah? Okay, because of the evidence. Pitches the ball back to Hitchens for his own response. This is pretty good. Hitchens most likely will hit back on the idea that there is such a thing as evidence for the Christian God. I mean, that's, well, who knows? Let's see what he does.
Christopher, would you like to respond to that?
Well, you'll have noticed that there are many.
There you go. Yeah, much dressing was used on that word salad. Yeah.
Moments in the New Testament Gospels. One of them I'll take for the simple reason that it's easy to remember, that the Messiah will come to Jerusalem riding an ass or a donkey.
And if you want to ride some ass, just go to adamandeve.com. God, these things write themselves. Go to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brentley at checkout. Get 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping of the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com and get your butt some stuff. They're fast, but they're frequent. They're frequent but fast. Okay, I feel like that's a good trade-off, right?
There are many others, including what town he'll be born in and so forth, where it says in the text, and this was done so that the prophecy should be fulfilled.
Charlie, what's up, man? Saying what universe was that? A solid answer. Well, the one when you just happen to agree with the person that's wrong.
Should be done because they knew what the prophecies were. A virgin will conceive, for example, is another one. Though the word in Hebrew, alma, actually just means marriageable young woman, doesn't mean unpenetrated young female at all. But it's all reverse engineering.
Like at the beginning of Snatch. Remember Snatch? When they were walking through all the cameras. They were going through all the security cameras, right? And Benicio, man, he's killing it too. He's doing such a good, and he's talking. It's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Engineering. It says right there in the text, we're telling you this happened because that would mean that the prophecies had come true. So I think you might suspect a little, mightn't you? Someone who's telling you literally as they're going along why they're telling you this, so that the conditions of prophecy fulfillment can be met. But there's a much graver problem even than that naivete.
It's more grave. Okay, there's no graver. That's incorrect, right? You can't. You don't say that way, right? You say more grave. The graver. It's like saying funner. It just sounds stupid. It still sounds pretty good when Hitchens says it. Even still.
No. What the point of that type of response is. It certainly does not rise to meet the challenge that Lennox has offered. Lennox mentioned evidence. Okay, presumably he means the evidence for the existence of God, as well as the historicity of the scripture, right?
Jeez.
What he likely is not referring to is the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy.
Why not? Wouldn't that be included in the evidence?
And yet that's precisely what Hitchens wants to talk about.
Because he just said evidence, man. Guess what? If you're just like, because of stuff, you get to pick any of the stuff. If you're going to do that, like maybe Lennox should have been a bit more specific.
You see what I mean?
No, I don't.
Hitchens is a master of reframing the discussion around whatever it is that he wants to talk about in that moment.
When you say such vague terms, and then he just picks out of the vague term.
If you go up against someone like this on the debate stage, don't let your opponent do that. And for Hitchens,
what would he say in response? Like, it doesn't make sense. No, not evidence. I can't do his voice. He'd be like, not that evidence. I was talking about different evidence, not prophecy stuff. Okay, I was talking about some of the evidence that he thinks actually exists. I don't know. I don't even know what you could say there.
It's all good because it's all essentially a polemic against Christianity anyway, right?
Oh my God, that's like 3 times. We're gonna have to make a drinking game out of this guy saying polemic. Jesus.
Which in a way is advantageous for Hitchens. Why? Well, because if you're not prepared for this kind of a thing, it throws you off as an opponent.
Then maybe be specific.
Has that ever happened to you before? You say one thing as a Christian and you expect a response about that one thing, but the person that you're engaging isn't about that one thing. They're way over here talking about whatever they want.
What are you talking about, man? He said he was talking about the evidence. That's all he said. He said, because of evidence, that's why I believe so. And then Hitchens was like, well, here's evidence that's always thrown at me, and here's why it's stupid. And then he goes, not that evidence, though. That wasn't the evidence that Lennox was talking about. Well, it would have been nice if Lennox maybe would have been like, oh, but not Bible prophecies, though. That doesn't count as evidence. Then what you're saying would make sense, dude. But it doesn't.
And so not only is your original point left unresolved, but now
yeah, exactly. AR's like, it's half of their evidence, dude. Have you seen Justin go from the deconstruction zone? Like 9 times, you're like, what about all the fulfilled prophecy, bro? And he's just like, yeah, none of that was fulfilled prophecy. Jesus sucks, and he's stupid, and he's a liar, and I hate him. Justin just says stuff. I love it.
All these new issues, they get brought up that also potentially will get left unresolved, right? This provides an advantage to someone like Hitchens, as well as a disadvantage to someone like you, if you don't understand what's really happening.
Which, I mean, if we're talking about Christians, almost a guarantee. They never know what's happening. Okay, that's
so let's go back over it, because I think it's helpful. Here's what really happened. Okay, Hitchens was asked about the doctrine of original sin and total depravity. Then he started talking.
Oh, okay, yeah, I thought it was something like that, like polemic. So he said polemic is just means refuting an argument, particularly in an aggressive manner. But I thought it was like there's like a negative connotation to it, isn't it? Like what's the word? Damn, of course I can't think of that word, but it's like a negative way to use it. Like, oh, you're just doing a polemic, isn't it like that? Like, oh, you're just polemicing this, man. Like, dude, what is it? You know, and maybe I'm mistaken, and I'd be happy to be mistaken, but that's just what I have to. I can't think of the word. Wow, that is gonna kill me.
Talking about how religion is bad for the world, and then he brought up how
pejorative, fucking pejorative. Thank you.
Jesus makes you violent, essentially. Lennox pushed back on this notion of Jesus being violent and
kept wanting to say conjunction. That wasn't what it is. Or juxtaposition. I almost said that.
teaching violence. Then they move on to how Lennox knows that Jehovah is the true God. Lennox says it's the evidence, guys. Hitchens is now calling into question the fulfillment of prophecy about Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's a good point. Ember said this is a Q&A. He's going back to an earlier question to fabricate a complaint. Are you saying? Wait. Hold on. What do you mean by that? Like, who's fabricating the complaint?
You see what I mean? A lot of people find Hitchens to be compelling, but the point is, it's not because of substance. It's because of rhetoric.
It's because of both. Lennox hasn't said anything, man. And this is your guy on your team, on your video. And you picked this video. You picked the videos in your own thing, man. Like, you don't have to, you don't just have your audience randomly fucking pick them for you, like me. Okay, I got to come up with all this stuff on the fly because I'm awesome, right? And not Jesus through me, but I am. All right. God, it feels so hard to say stuff like that because it's just in your head. Like, can't say. Anyway.
He's one of the best rhetoricians that I've ever seen.
Rhetorician? Wow, I've never heard that one. It's like, that's an MD, right? Right? You get an MD for that, right?
He's definitely a walking advertisement for leveling up your skills of rhetoric. By the way, is this interesting to you at all? I'm just breaking down the debate, right? It's hard because this is not.
It's like, does this suck, y'all? Do you guys hear? Is anybody even here? Yo, guys. I don't think anybody's here.
Formal cross, so I'm just riffing. But I don't know. Let's see what happens.
What is with this formal cross shit? Come on, man. It's like, this would be better if it was a formal cross. Shut the fuck.
Which is that these prophecies are of a Jewish Messiah to come. And the Jewish religious authorities of the time considered, and who were the nearest, much closer to being eyewitnesses, if the story is true at all, much closer than the authors of any of the Gospels. They were the people who were the religious authority in the area. He was a member, if he existed, of their congregation. They thought he was a sorcerer and a fraud and an imposter, and convicted him of blasphemy, because though he in fact never said that he was God, there are some Christians I know who do say that Jesus is God. There are some who say he only claimed to be the son of. The critical question is, he's asked, art thou the Christ? Are you the Messiah? And he gives a slightly evasive answer at this point, but it's enough to make the Sanhedrin rend its garments. So all you're seeing in this tale, if it be true at all, if it have any truth to it, is the origin of Jewish-Christian fratricide. Of the Jews who have nurtured the idea of prophecy and the Messiah through their prophets for generations, who believe the Messiah has not yet even considered deigning showing up, and those who tell the Jews, why are you wasting your time? The good news has already happened. Why don't you just get with the program? I submit that neither of these propositions is worthy of the consideration of an intelligent or educated human being.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that. Hey, what's up, Heckler? How you doing, man? Oh, it's good to see you. We're about to wrap, though. I gotta head in a second here.
It's Bronze Age peasant Palestinian superstition.
I think it's Iron. This is the Iron Age, right?
And the competition over it and interpretations over it have made humanity's life even more miserable than it was going to be otherwise.
Let me see what someone said. I had to look up the spelling of pejorative things. Would be so much easier if you guys could learn to speak Swedish. You're 300 million. That's funny. We're 11 million, so it's easier for you. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Swedish sounds hard. That sounds like a hard. But I hear that our language is like really dumb. Like we have the same words that mean different things, and then we have different words that mean the same things. What is even happening? Okay.
So now you have a choice. As the Christian opponent to Christopher Hitchens, you either go down this rabbit trail that he has carefully crafted, which is about whether or not Jesus is the fulfillment of Jewish prophecy, or you stay with the original question, which was about how to know whether Jehovah is the true God. You see what I mean? If you go after Hitchens, then you drop the thread of the original question. If you stay on the original question, well, then you leave this new thread.
It's kind of on, because he's saying, it's like, if as long as you choose to like completely like misunderstand like the context of what he was saying, he was like saying, look, I think, or I've heard it go this way or that, right? And he's like, they're just like, he didn't even say he was God. Remember, he said that. Isn't that has nothing to do with the damn question? Like, but he's saying, like, but he didn't even claim that. He just claimed to be the Messiah, this Jewish thing. So, yeah, whatever, dude. It's like he's literally answering the questions. He's just putting it in a very like a much more interesting perspective, if you ask me. But he just doesn't like that. He doesn't like rhetoric. Even though isn't rhetoric like debate? Isn't that like what you're supposed to do? Anyway, all right, y'all. And if you want to do what you're supposed to do, well, then don't go to adamandeve.com, because you got to do stuff that you're not supposed to do. That did not work. What am I even doing? That was terrible. What the fuck? Well, I should have waited till they said something sexual. Anyway, go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Bentley, and check out to get 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Go to adamandeve.com. Enter that code word Bentley. It's BRENTLY. It's in bright purple on the screen right now. It's literally popping out of the screen, sort of. If you look at it, if you kind of squint, kind of looks like it's right. Kind of, it's like it's popping out. Go to adamandeve.com. Get your butt some stuff. And if if you want to support the show, you can support us by supporting our sponsor, adamandeve.com, or you can do a bunch of other crap, right? You can become a patron. Patreon.com/Apostate. And I want to say thanks to the new patron. I'm not saying names, but thank you for being a patron. But if you want to just do a one-time payment on Cash App, I really appreciate it. And the cash tag is Apostate, all one word. But the best bang for your buck, I think, is becoming a member, right? And sometimes really awesome people in the chat are just passing them out to people. So if you just watch the show a lot, you might be able to just become a member because of some cool person. So yeah, you should do that. You get early access to videos, you get video live streams that are just for you, you got videos that are made just for you, you get a whole bunch of stuff. And the live streams that are members only are a lot more like they're a lot more like looser, they're a lot more fun, right? It's just chill. I can get to all the comments. It's really fun. But if you want to email me at Gmail or punkapostate@gmail.com. It is a Gmail though, so I was still correct in my mistake there. So Yeah. Join our Discord, right? We got a Discord. You can check that out. I go in there quite a bit. It's probably the most online stuff I do, to be honest. Yeah. And follow me on all the socials, and all the links will be below. But hey, the main thing really is to stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate. And we'll see you next time. I think he's got like a polemic up his